Seoul. Founded in 1394, it is both the cultural and economic center of South Korea. With 12 million inhabitants, it's also the fifth largest city in the world. A highly modern Asian metropolis that eagerly adheres to its ancient traditions. Seoul was once heavily fortified and could only be entered by way of its huge city gates. Today, looking like temples, these ancient relics of a bygone age stand amid the city's chaotic traffic, surrounded by splendid buildings of concrete, glass and steel, and still protected by the Royal Guard. These fine entrance gates lead to a once forbidden and secret world. The old king's residence of Chandok, the Palace of Wonderful Blessing. King Taejong of the Joseon dynasty ordered the construction of this palace complex in 1405. However, its center line was not built in the customary north-south position. The location of the buildings and courtyards was adapted to the natural lie of the land. This made them look even more gigantic. The throne hall is one of the main buildings and was the first to be built. It took a further 7 years for the royal residence to be completed. At that time, entry to the large palace buildings, courtyards, and enclosed corridors was restricted to the members of the royal household. Throughout the centuries, the palace was devastated by both war and fire. But it was rebuilt, and the main structure was left intact. Nowhere else is dominated as much by Confucianism. This is indicated by the architecture that did not permit any other influences. There is a beautiful, expansive garden, Suwon, the Forbidden Garden. It was used only by the royal family. Today, tiny ponds and water basins continue to line the route up the hill. There are also a number of small pavilions where one may relax or meditate, as did the monarchy of those golden days. Prior to the construction of the Changdok Palace, for 7 years the Deoksugung served as the royal residence. King Sejong the Great had the Deoksugung built for his elder brother, Prince Wolsan. And when the Japanese destroyed the palace, he came to reside here. The palace was frequently inhabited by various members of the royal family. In 1897, King Gojong returned from exile in Russia. He lived here until his death on the 21st of January 1919, following a threat by the Japanese to make him abdicate. Many of the wooden palace buildings were destroyed by various hostilities and fire and were not rebuilt. However, those that remain highlight the splendor of the original palace. The architecture of a small annex situated within a flower garden indicates Western influence. King Gojong had this open pavilion built in 1900. where today students sketch flowers, the king once used to enjoy music and tea. The city's most popular markets are situated close to the large old city gates, as is the Namdaemun market on the other side of the gates. It's a hive of activity here both day and night. There's such a choice. And also the exotic aroma of the open-air kitchen that will tempt any appetite. There's a fine display of fresh fruit and vegetables. The city's inhabitants come here each day to do their shopping. In 1994, the War Museum was inaugurated and features 5,000 years of the country's history. An open-air exhibition features more recent events. A huge monument commemorates the Korean War, during which, between 1950 and 1953, around 400,000 people were killed. At that time, the United States of America and 20 other countries took part in a United Nations military operation to support South Korea against the forces of North Korea and China. It was a bloody conflict in which millions of soldiers fought in many a savage battle. It was known as the Forgotten War. Some of the aircraft that took part in the war are exhibited here, such as this B-52 bomber with its massive wings, and also several Russian tanks, a Cobra helicopter, and various missiles. There's even an old submarine. In 1988, the 24th Olympic Games took place in Seoul. For this, the Olympic Park was created, a huge area with a monument at its entrance. 200 sculptures adorn the various paths, created by the artists of many nations. It was designed to highlight Korea's global connection with the rest of the world. Artificial water landscapes were integrated into the newly settled banks of the Han River. Water fountains complete the splendid scene. Following the Olympic Games, the area has been used by the city's inhabitants as a leisure park. The World Cup Stadium was built in 2002. With 64,000 seats, it's one of the largest in Asia, and cost $151 million to build. The city's impressive contemporary side can be seen from the Han River, and the city's many ferry boats provide lots of opportunities to see more of the city and its surroundings. We travel past new residential areas that have been built close to the riverbanks. The city is constantly expanding, and building plots are few and far between. Several new bridges connect the various city districts, modern structures with a futuristic look. They've been designed to handle a large amount of traffic. In 1951, Seoul was overrun by the North Korean army, who set fire to the city. However, there's no sign of this today. The economy is booming, and the city is going from strength to strength. Around a quarter of the country's inhabitants live and work in this metropolis that is one of the most beautiful in the whole of Asia, and one that enjoys a high standard of living. Once a year in May, National Children's Day is celebrated. Naturally, it's a day that focuses on children, those who will one day be running the country. The children are given presents by their parents, and numerous kindergartens take part in events in which children learn of community life. The average age of the city's population is less than 40, and the children here can take advantage of a large range of education possibilities. A modern shopping complex boasts the largest aquarium in Korea, the Coex Aquarium, an underwater wonderworld containing 90 tanks of various sizes. "2,500 tons of salt water provide a habitat for about 40,000 creatures, including beaver, alligators and crocodiles. From the Amazon rainforests, mangrove swamps and all 7 seas, animals and plants from each of these regions can be seen in this unique underwater world. Seoul offers a large variety of nightlife, and a visit to the Nanta show theatre is a must. Each evening features a cooking show that's always sold out. It's full of action and amazing skill. The Nanta Cooking Show. Korea's top show has no dialogue. The chaotic story is told via rhythm, music and movement, at traditional Samulnori tempo in Western style. It's very entertaining at a very fast pace, and the plates are not carried but thrown. Miraculously, nothing is broken. Sometimes even do-it-yourself equipment is used as a kitchen utensil, and the cutting of vegetables is quite manic. At times, the stage is too small for the entertainers. The cooking surfaces and kitchen knives are also used as percussion instruments. While preparing the local dishes, each movement of the actor's hands creates a rhythm. Seoul's Nanta Theatre was inaugurated in July 2000, and in March 2004, another opened on Broadway. Indeed, it has several touring shows around the world. Now back to Korea's long history. It has a palace with a sonorous name, Gyeongbokgung, the Palace of Happiness. In 1392, the Joseon dynasty was founded in Gyeongsang, but 2 years later, it relocated to Hanyang. The dynasty's new capital city, the Seoul of today, was in need of a palace, so in 1395, Gyeongbok was built. It was constructed in customary fashion, from south to north. The palace is situated in the center of the city and is entered through 4 gates. During the Japanese invasion of 1592, it was completely burned down. For 273 years, only its ruins served as a reminder of its former splendor. And until in 1865, King Hwaseong ordered its reconstruction. Even the impressive throne hall was rebuilt. Once the many kings of the Joseon dynasty were crowned here, and it was a place of great ceremony. Following its reconstruction, the palace covered an area of 419,000 square meters and contained no less than 330 buildings. An impressive complex indeed. The Gyeongbok was also badly damaged during the Second World War. But Korea's master craftsmen have restored the complex, and today, along with its gardens and water features, it's once again a captivating sight. The daily changing of the guards is a popular event. It shows how both the former royal palace and the city gates were once protected by the military. With guards in traditional uniform, standard bearers, and music. A dramatic relic of relatively recent times is Sewdaemun Prison that was built in 1907 during Japanese occupation. Eight of the original 18 sections of the prison have survived. The prison was built to house 500 prisoners, but it sometimes grew to as many as 3,000. Around 40,000 Korean freedom fighters were imprisoned here in pitiful circumstances. 400 died or were put to death in the prison's small death hut. "30 kilometers south of Seoul is the fortress town of Suwon. At the end of the 18th century, the Hwaseong Fortress was built. It's now a World Heritage Site. An impregnable 4 to 6 meter high wall measuring nearly 6 kilometers in length surrounds the city of Suwon and Paldasan Mountain. King Jongjo, the 22nd king of the Joseon dynasty, had the fortress built as both a tomb for his father and also for administrative purposes. Nearby, vegetables are on sale. Where the fortress wall meets the river that still continues to flow through the complex. On the other side of the river, the wall ascends a hill. It took only 2 years to construct this impressive wall that survived right up to the present day. 4 main gates, various fortified towers, watch and signal towers, secret corridors and bunkers. Each of these was the finest innovation of their day. The fortress extends for 130 hectares. Indeed, the distance from one main gate to the other is such that a dragon train is available for those who prefer not to walk. Outside Seoul is the Korean folk village. This museum village features traditional day-to-day life throughout the centuries. There are farm buildings, and also a Buddhist temple, a Confucian shrine, a market, administrative buildings, and numerous sheds. There's also a colorfully attired band that plays loudly and full of feeling. The name of this traditional Korean music is known as samol nori. Handicrafts are also on display, plus a weaver and braider. A blacksmith demonstrates how iron was worked on an open fire. He also offers his work for sale. A serving of freshly prepared food shortens the waiting time between performances. Soon the next folk group enters the arena. Colourfully dressed men play music and perform traditional acrobatic dances. This kind of entertainment was once popular with the rural population, and the performers moved from village to village. Applause is guaranteed. Returning to Seoul, we go to a special location. All is calm at the Jongmyo Shrine, a place of ancestral worship. In Confucianism, the command of reverence is also valid after death. Thus, the Korean people have developed a deep reverence for the worship of their ancestors. Royal ancestors were also much worshipped. Therefore, this monastery was built to commemorate the Joseon dynasty. And 19 chambers contain the memorial plates of various monarchs. A place of tranquility and worship. Once a year on the first Sunday in May, an important ceremony takes place here. Each of the chambers is opened and entered by numerous dignitaries. It's well rehearsed. On the great day of the ceremony, festively dressed men enter the courtyard outside the chambers. Each procedure is well defined and has been handed down from one generation to the next for hundreds of years. The procession leads to the more elevated ancestral shrines in the Hall of Eternal Peace, and the ritual washing of hands is strictly adhered to. These rituals are accompanied by the oldest Oriental classical music in the world. And finally, the last descendant of the royal family appears in order to honor his ancestors. In former times, these spectacular rites were performed several times a year to beg help from the souls of the dead kings, for peace and the wealth of the nation. The tree-covered southern mountain of Namsan is the geographical center of the city. In addition to a road and footpath, there's also a cable car that leads up to the top of the hill. In 1969, the North Seoul television tower was built to provide South Korea with TV and radio signals. Seoul's main landmark is 236 meters high and is equipped with several high-speed elevators, as well as an observation platform and observatory. The viewing platform has been open to the public since 1980. From here, there's a magnificent panoramic view of the city, both day and night. Seoul is a city bursting with contrast. Here, modernity and the past live side by side. Age-old customs and traditions with a contemporary way of life. Historic buildings, palaces, shrines and bridges all serve to underline the ultra-modern appearance of this mega-city in the land of the silent morning.